didn't see you there.
Something big is going on here.
From hunting ghosts to Bigfoot.
Paranormal, UFOs, true crime, and more.
We won't just be spouting articles.
I was researching for your entertainment.
The beginning of a new world.
The best guac you'll ever fucking eat.
True story.
It's basically like one day you walk outside and you see that the ants are playing with matches.
This is the Black Cat Report. See you on the other side.
In this episode, we'll be diving into the fascinating close encounter and abduction of Tom and Elise Gifford. The series is going to be a pure nightmare. The story reads like a mix of Saw, War of the Worlds, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Conjuring all wrapped into one. How it hasn't been made into a horror movie is beyond me. As you'll soon come to see, this is by no means a typical close encounter. Veering on the edge of impossible even for those studying the fringe, it pushes the boundaries between what we typically consider extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional, and demonic. Now with that out of the way, I've got to ask you a favor. I'm going to need you to down a cup of coffee, then get really, really high and turn off the lights. We'll wait.
I was just gonna say I can't. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys a story. This goes with the episode, so it's relevant. I was at Well Played, and my friend Victoria gave me a gummy, and it's just like a round gummy, like a donut little gummy. And Gilbert asked me if it's better if I get high during the episode because it's scary or not. And it literally brought me back to that night. It was a few weeks ago, and I ate the gummy, and I started getting so paranoid. And then suddenly I look out the window, and I always check the weather every day, and it never said it was gonna rain. And I'm looking outside, and it's raining. And then I saw this light like up in the sky, and I was like freaking out, and I was like, oh my God. And then the room just got smaller, and the noises got louder. And then I looked outside again, and it was this street light.
Oh my God. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 26 of the Black Cat Report. If you're catching this on the day that it drops, we all want to say, A, you're the goddamn best,
Merry
and
Christmas!
B, if you're into a Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, happy
Happy
holidays.
Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad, all of the above.
Kwanzaa. Hope your cat's having a great birthday if it's cat birthday day. Hanukkah, yup.
Hanukkah.
So my name is Gil, and I am joined tonight on this very frosty evening by the incredible, impeccable, respectable Selena.
Hello.
And the only person to have ever out-questioned Socrates himself, Betsabe.
Hola.
Our fantastic comrade, co-host, talented musician, and producer Joey is unfortunately forced to sit this one out tonight as capitalism is heartless and we haven't found a sponsor yet that will cover our cat's lavish lifestyles.
I mean, honestly, people need
Hit
their
us up.
pizzas this weekend.
It's true.
So Joey's kind of like a hero right now for all the people.
For real. He's flying some other saucers. Well, with that said, our primary source for the next two shows will be The Mojave Incident by Ron Felber. If you love horror and UFOs, I cannot recommend this book enough. It quickly became the best book I've ever read when researching for our shows, and I assure you, while we will be going deep into this fascinating experience, we'll still only be scratching the surface of what you'll learn if you go out and grab yourself a copy. Links on where to find it will be in the show notes. Now let's begin. It was October 20th, 1989. Growing more and more eager to finally hit the road, Tom was anxious for his parents to show up. Normally the stereotype of a busybody, planning and running construction projects around the city, this hunting trip would be the perfect getaway for him and his young wife, Elise. And although she was far from a fan of hunting, Elise was very tempted by the idea of a break from taking care of their 2.5-year-old son, Tom Jr., and their 5-month-old daughter, Zoe. Even if it was only for a few days, an extended weekend together, away from LA, camping in the Mojave was exactly what they both needed. Well, Tom's main goal almost an obsession really, was to bag a large mule deer he had missed on his last hunt. He wanted to sweeten the experience for Elise and make the hunt more tolerable. To do this, Tom had borrowed his dad's pickup along with a large camper shell attachment and planned a number of stops for sightseeing and blowing off steam. He even had a few sweet moments in mind to make the most of the time spent together when he wasn't hunting. By 1 p.m., Tom's parents were at the house, ready to take on their weekend babysitting roles while Tom and Elise closed up the tailgate of the truck and hit the road. Unsurprisingly, they spent a fair amount of time stuck in LA's stop-and-go traffic before finally breaking free and continuing on their way towards the desert canyons of Nevada. Once they made it across the state line, Tom, smirk on his face, lifted a large jar of quarters from under the driver's side seat and shook it, saying to Elise, quote, "In case you forgot, this is a vacation. I thought we might want to stop at Whiskey Pete's to try our luck at the slots before we turn in for the night at Mid-Hills."
Cute. My grandparents love going to casinos.
What is it with one-armed bandits and grandparents? My grandma, when she was with us, like, she was so into going to the casino and like just doing
Oh, I was like, what the hell is a one-armed bandit? It's like,
another name for a slot
I was like,
machine.
excuse
One-armed
me,
bandit.
I have 2 arms and I don't steal anymore.
Well, one-armed bandits are twice as able. So, so fast forward to around 2 a.m. They were getting back into the truck, smiles on their faces after spending the night drinking, dancing, and winning about $150, which, when you calculate for inflation today, comes out to about $7.5 billion.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I was
It's
gonna
about
say,
$360.
like, what?
But I digress. They got back on the road, making their way towards their intended camping spot some 90 miles away before finally being forced to pull off the desert highway due to an intense fog rolling in. Comfortable with the complete isolation from the world, they drove the truck a little ways off the road into the desert and camped there for the night. The next day, October 21st, Elise and Tom drove towards the campground they intended to stay at the night before, taking time along the way to coast along unnamed back roads and look for signs of mule deer Tom had seen the weekend before. By the time they made it to the campground, Tom was in shock to see that every single spot in this remote area had been taken. The campground was full up, something he had never heard of or seen in all of his years of coming out there to hunt. Like, this is a campground in the middle of nowhere, and it's in the off-season. They get there, I think the quote from the book was, you couldn't even fit a tent in this place. It was just slammed.
What year was this?
Tom was pissed. 1989.
Oh.
That's when I was born.
I was gonna say maybe he posted on Facebook like, damn, I saw a huge mule deer, and then it just got like reposted to death.
Oh shit.
MySpace.
But
Wait, when did MySpace started?
not in 1989.
1806, 1807.
1807.
So yeah. Facebook posts aside, this was super rare. This was weird. They even saw a BLM, a Bureau of Land Management worker there that owns and operates the land. Yes, not Black Lives Matter, but they do blander. But that's not what BLM stood for at this point in time. They saw a BLM worker, basically a park ranger in this case, and he was like, yeah, I'm confused too. I've never seen so many people out here. He was shocked. This dude works there, right? So they were pissed. Elise was definitely looking forward to, like, you know, an outhouse and
A
running
shower.
water and showers, things of this nature. And so Tom was like kind of kicking himself and like doing that relationship thing where he's like, we shouldn't have did that really cute thing that we just did yesterday that meant a lot, and like I regret this. And he's like, damn it, we should have just drove straight here and not gone to
So he's
Whiskey Pete's
making
and had an
things
incredible
worse.
evening. Yeah, he didn't. I will say during this entire book, Tom has an excellent demeanor, and I really do feel like he's trying to be a great husband. And so some of the things like that, like he didn't really like drive it home. This is kind of stuff that comes out later where he was just like, I was regretting that at the time. He wasn't like rubbing it in Elisa's face and making it all awkward. He's actually like a pretty chill dude. Like he's actually like a really good guy. It's sweet. I think that's the vibe I got from them. It's like they're a very loving couple that have gone through a lot, and like he tries to be the best dude he can. So respect. I'm just saying.
Is this like a real couple? Like, do they exist, or it's just
No,
a
this
book?
is 100% like based
This
on
is a
like the
real
real
account.
event. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
He
Yeah,
read
no,
a
this
book
is
about it.
Yeah, this is straight up.
Got it.
Yeah, we'll get to some of the confirmations and like how the story got written down and recorded later, in part 2. But I didn't want to dry everything up at the beginning of the series and be like, and this is why this document matters, you know. But
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to jump to the juicy stuff. So
I mean, I just have to say, like, yeah, maybe he's trying to be sweet and stuff, but he doesn't know how, because who in the world thinks that's a good idea to take a wife that just had a baby 5 months ago camping to
she's
go hunting?
she's
Like, you take her to the spa or to just a nice hotel room with a pool, a
Yeah,
nice
get her a
view. Like,
massage.
what in the world? Yeah,
there.
get her a fucking massage.
All right.
A
So
foot
I didn't
massage.
include I didn't include
Yeah.
this. I didn't include this in the story, but now I see that I should have. This is why there should be more
Context.
gender diversity in writing the scripts. Um just across all genders. But there was discussions and stuff that took place in the book where like he had missed the shot while he was out with his brother and his father the weekend before at this like, you know, glorious mule deer on this like big hunting trip. And he was like bound and determined to go back. Part of it being driven by his own stress of like work and life and all this other bullshit going on. But he felt incredibly guilty about leaving 2 weekends in a row because he really wanted to spend time with her. And they actually had this long discussion over dinner where he was like, hey, would you want to come with me? Like, this means a lot to me. And she's like, I don't know, I'm not really into hunting. And he's like, well, there's this site and there's this place and there's this and there's this and there's this. And like, and he knows all the land and everything out there. So he kind of knows like all the cute, like romantic spots on the side of cliffs and all these beautiful areas to watch stars. And he's like, I would love for you to come out here with me. So it was kind of like a, hey, I'm really being driven to do this. I know this isn't the best thing in the world. Would you consider it? Also, my parents said that they would come babysit. So like, how about a break from the kids? And she was like, yeah, I want a break from the kids. That sounds nice.
She's like, I guess this is my only chance.
No,
I know, right?
I didn't get the vibe, but I don't know. Y'all got to read the book. Come back with your opinion on this. Since I did the studying, I did the homework over here. I'm gonna say, Tom was trying to be nice. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, for the future guys that are listening to this
Don't
episode,
plan your
Massages.
trip and
In the
then
fu-
try to invite your wife to the trip you planned for yourself.
who just had a baby.
Man, if y'all are getting up in arms now, just wait till later. Okay, so let's see. It was then, and much to the dismay of Elise, that he decided they should drive deeper into the desert, closer to where he planned on hunting. Basically, it was like, there's no campgrounds available. We might as well just drive out to the area of the desert where I was planning on hunting. I can go hunting early in the morning, like I was planning on doing. It'll make the hunting day shorter. We can spend more time together, do more stuff. Like, where are they going to go? The campground's full. Like, they have to camp in the desert somewhere.
Somewhere else, a hotel, like give up.
Dude,
do something nice for your wife.
Oh my God, y'all. Y'all, we are on page 3 of the
I know, but he's just like, well, I gotta catch that mule deer.
It was an obsession.
Gotta catch them all.
I'm in a weird role trying to defend Tom, and I don't even feel that strongly about that. So, by that evening, the truck was crawling into the mouth of a tight canyon before finally stopping for the night, leaving the couple with high cliffs on the sides and an opening flattening out to an unobstructed view of the vast, flat desert terrain. Although Tom grew up hunting out here and seemed to know every square inch of the unnamed roads and trails, Elise couldn't shake the fear that they were making a mistake and were vulnerable to some evolving fate. Regardless, they settled down and made camp. I realize now how many times I should have included all the cute little stops they made and how significant that she explained it was. Anyways, night fell quickly in the canyon, and by 7:30, the couple were in awe of the towering 7,000-foot tabletop mountain glowing in the dark. It held this majestic beauty underneath the stars, only a quarter mile away, or, in other words, only the length of 1,987.82 Beanie Babies in the distance. By now, Tom had steaks in a large pan sizzling in butter, wine at the ready, and marshmallows queued up for cuddles and stargazing. He was doing everything he could to
Cute.
put a smile on Elise's face and distract her from the growingly dark, intrusive thoughts she was feeling. Basically, it was a lot of small cues about, like, what if this happens? What about this? We're kind of out here alone, X, Y, Z. She was having a lot of fears about it.
And then
Tom's
he's
kind of
like,
sitting
no,
there,
no,
and
baby. And then it all happens.
No.
Your
he had-
feelings are not valid.
He had been hunting in this area since he was like 15 and camping out basically in the spot or within like an eighth of a mile of the spot since he was like 15. He's like in his 30s now. So he's kind of like, hey, I know you haven't come out here. I know you haven't gone camping, but like kind of like I do this all the time. I've been doing this with family for years. I can basically name every damn tree out here, you know?
Mansplaining.
So midway through cooking dinner, Tom found himself reaching into the camper and pulling out a lantern when suddenly his jovial, confident air left him. He could feel himself being watched. Slowly glancing around, his eyes lifted to view a massive light pulsating above the ridge of a nearby mountaintop. As if on cue, the moment he was able to focus on what he was seeing, the object began dropping, seemingly with intention, below the other side of the mountain. Literally just like, oh, shit, saw me. And started, like, creeping away.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Bye. It took Elise shouting back to Tom from the fire that the stakes were starting to burn to finally break Tom's attention. He shook off the residual chills by telling himself it must have been some, experimental aircraft from a nearby military base, while answering Elise's concern by saying it was just a shooting star that caught his sight. He was trying to blow it off. She hadn't seen it, but could see the concern Tom was wearing clear as day. The two went on to settle into the evening, wrapped in a blanket and talking about the stars and wildlife before making their way into the world now that the desert heat had left with the sun. Tom knew a lot about the outdoors and naturally quite a bit about the constellations now beaming down with the moon forming shadows across the canyons and plains. Elise pointed out different stars and asked questions while Tom shared what he knew. Eventually, this led to a now somewhat notorious moment. Shortly after Tom told her about double stars, which revolve around each other, making them appear extra bright, she pointed over to an area of the sky and said, quote, well, if that's a double star, these must be triples, because they're a lot bigger and brighter than that.
Terrifying.
Turning his head to see what she was pointing to, his heart sank into his now sour stomach. 9 large objects, shining like small white suns, were floating in the sky. Tom immediately felt terror grip him while Elise, still curious, asked earnestly what they could be. In an almost comically conditioned response, he blurted out, weather balloons.
I knew it. I knew it.
She looked at him with a pissed off expression, knowing he was lying to her, but still continued to talk through it, pointing out how they look metallic, how they are positioned perfectly together, like they're connected.
Terrifying.
This scene, these objects floating in the sky went on for quite a while, long enough for Tom to go get coffee at the camper and think about packing up and leaving. This is not short. It's not just like, oh, it's there, it disappears. It's like they chill, they sit, they stare at it, they talk about it, they go back and forth. Like, is that weather balloons? Is it not weather balloons? And like, it's kind of like an understood lie that's happening. And Tom's just kind of like freaked out. Reason being, he had a flashback when he first saw that orb that appeared above the mountaintop when he was going to grab the lantern. He had a flashback to a fishing trip that he had had with his family when he was a little boy, one that he had basically suppressed his whole life because it scared the shit out of him, and it honestly left him with some kind of like PTSD. So like he was in straight up shock. There was an orb. They were fishing early in the morning. It was like, I don't know, like 4 a.m. or something like that with his friend. I think his friend's name was Ron. And they see this orb, and they're like, what the hell is that? And they're just fishing. They're like little kids. I think they were like 7, 8 years old or something. And then this orb jets across the lake towards them, and they literally are running with all their stuff. He falls on the ground, and this orb is like hovering above him. Scares the fucking shit out of him. He gets up, doesn't even look up after he realizes it's above him, and just runs back to the camp like crying. So he was having a flashback when he went to get that lantern. So part of what's happening, part of why he's saying it's a weather balloon, it's partly to calm down Elise, but also partly to kind of calm himself down in the moment. He's like, I just want to think it's this. I just need to think it's this. I don't want to, like, he's been trying to suppress this thing for 30 years of his life. So
Wow.
Tom's not the bad guy you think he is. Anyways, so this scene, these objects just floating in the sky went on for quite a while. I said that. Well, like I said, he had time to literally go get coffee and think to himself, maybe we should just pack up everything and leave. They should have. But the couple stayed and settled into a silent observation, a hypnotic mixture of fascination and fear, curiosity, and a consuming need for closure. They just couldn't look away at what they were seeing. Like, what is that? It seemed so non-intrusive. Yeah.
Were they white?
Oh, you know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's some white people thinking,
White
let's just
people.
watch it.
Tom and Elise.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm going home.
I know, right? It's like, no.
I've seen this movie. We don't do well.
Yeah. There's no happy ending.
They should have, but the couple stayed and settled into a silent observation, a hypnotic mixture of fascination and fear, curiosity, and a consuming need for closure. The silence finally broke between them when the objects began blinking, back and forth, in such a way Tom and Elise knew instinctively the objects were communicating, like ships passing messages silently in the night. There was an obvious code to the pattern of their call and response. This officially broke the mutual lie they had kept up between one another. From a tinge of anxiety, Elise shouted, "They're not stars, and they're no damn weather balloons." Tom came back with, could be experimental aircraft from Nullis Air Force Base or 29 Palms, and the Marine Corps aren't that far from here. It could be anything. It was about then, with no sound or warning, all 9 objects vanished. Tom and Elise began frantically looking around the night sky before finally realizing the objects were a few thousand feet up, directly behind them, positioned now in the shape of an M.
Oh my god.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, no.
Ooh.
I'm getting goosebumps.
The couple...
Los
just wait.
goosebumps.
Los goosebumps. Shout out to What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show. Y'all are the best. The couple began to go back and forth, Elise openly saying she was scared, while Tom admitted he had no clue what the things were. He tried to reassure her. It was probably military, and if not, he had guns to protect them. She immediately picked up
Okay,
on this
Tom.
quote. You said if it's military, like you don't think it is. If it's not military or our military, what could it be? He tried to
You tell
Get
her.
those answers, girl.
He tried to back up
Yeah.
his statement, reassure her with more confidence that it had to be some government thing, but he only managed to bring the tensions down enough to crack a nervous laugh before looking back up in the sky. Quote, "Holy shit." There were now hundreds of objects flashing signals to one another.
Are you serious?
Girl, if that's what gets you, just wait.
That's
We still got it.
terrifying.
We are.
I don't think I ever heard a story where there's like hundreds, you
I
know?
told you. I warned you all at the beginning. This is not going to be your expectation of a typical close encounter or an abduction or anything like that. But it gets vetted like hell later, and that's what kind of pushes it to like oh shit, did this happen? It holds as much, credibility as a lot of people's stories around abductions and things. It meets the standards of most of the ones that are kind of propped up in the community. It just does not fit the mold. And so get ready for a goddamn ride. A stillness took the moment. Tom and Elise sat frozen in disbelief by the sheer number of glowing orbs flying in the sky. Like angels at the ready, waiting for Gabriel's horn to announce Judgment Day, there was a pressure of anticipation, a growing weight of gravity pulling seconds into the perception of minutes. This lasted
Oof.
until, from this suspended moment, movement broke through. Quote, slowly at first, like parachutes floating, free falling downward so gracefully, so easily that it seemed indiscernible at first. So they stared, captivated by the prospects as dozens, no, hundreds of the glowing white objects traveled like falling stars down and across the black onyx sky. End quote. Still very much in the Cold War era, Elise screamed, it's the Russians. The Russians are invading. Tom, no, it can't be. Fuck, it can't be, he repeated, then began kicking out the campfire. Get in the truck, he screamed to Elise finally. I'll put out the fire so they won't see us. She hesitated. He shoved her. Get in the goddamn truck! Elise.
Oh, now you're listening, Tom.
Elise was consumed by terror unfolding. The objects, the hundreds of lights, were now landing in every corner of the desert, but worse, it started to dawn on the couple that the grounded objects were now moving at a rapid pace towards them. Still sitting, Tom grabbed Elise and put her on her feet. Quote, they're coming to get us, she muttered. There's no road. No road out there, Tom said to himself as much as her, but they're still coming at us. End quote. He took her by the hand and they ran towards the truck, where he quickly grabbed his shotgun and rifle before yelling at her to get into the camper. Still, more of the objects were landing, each one quickly racing toward Tom and Elise. He took position, pointing his rifle towards the approaching objects. Quote, come on, you motherfuckers, get in my range. This whole time, Elise was pulling at his arm, begging him to stop. Through the blur of emotion, he finally heard what she was saying. Quote, you can't do anything, you can't hurt them. There are too many of them, and they're too advanced for us. Tom looked to her as if emerging from a dream, suddenly aware of her tugging at his arm. Don't you hear it? Don't you hear what they're telling you? She was screaming. End quote.
Oh,
Ew.
what were they saying?
He looked at her, confused, and recommended they get in the truck and leave, but she pointed out how these things, speeding through the desert towards them, weren't even on roads. How the hell could they possibly outrun them?
Yikes.
Okay, so this is her basically being like, Tom, wake up. These are not Russians. They're from another planet.
I don't remember it saying anything like that, but like there's an important transition.
But
which
just
will be
like
approaching.
basically.
It's kind of like whatever the fuck this is. Do you see them speeding through an open desert, no roads towards us? Also, did you totally miss the part where hundreds or thousands of them started falling out of the sky in front of us? Like,
And also
don't think.
hearing them?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
could hear them.
Yeah, you caught that. So we're gonna get to that in a second. I don't want to just like gloss over that, but. So there's that. They all appeared in the sky. They all started dropping down. They all started like rushing towards them. And this truck struggled to barely make it into the canyon. And now it's like pitch black. It's like super dark at night. And it's like, and now you're going to try to get the truck out. Like, we're not going to be able to get out of here. That's like the reality. And
there's
in a
camper
situation like
attached.
this, yeah. And like in a situation like this, survival mode, it's like, do we run and hide? Right? Like, that's a legitimate thought. It's like, okay, they may have saw where the fire was, but can we go hide in the canyon? Can we go here? Da-da-da. If we're in a truck, we're kind of like a lit up target moving on a road that's super loud. This is very practical. Like, Tom, what the fuck are you doing? You can't shoot thousands of these things. You probably have like 20 rounds for your guns, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're pretty advanced. You just saw what they did. Like, chill the fuck out, dude, right? Well, and then
Tom.
also the line of, don't you hear what they're telling you? And this is when it gets weird. Elise is now regularly starting to hear and then talk for the things approaching them, changing her voice between speaking her own thoughts and their messages like someone possessed by a demon. After telling Tom, quote, "You were right the first time. It's the camper. The back of the camper where they want us. Come on." And then pulling him in. Once inside, Tom opened the back window of the small truck camper, resting his shotgun on the closed tailgate before he started yelling, "Come on, you bastards!" trying to psych himself up for the fight. Elise grabs his arm and starts to cycle through voices, quote, Don't do anything to hurt them. Don't do anything to hurt us. Put the gun down. You have no chance. Put the gun down. You have no chance. In the end, you'll only get us killed if you try to harm them. In the end, we'll kill you if you try to harm us.
Oof. Woo.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. I
I
know.
hope y'all are squeezing your little kitties out there tonight, or your loved ones, or I suppose dogs work too, or fuck it, a pillow, or I don't know, a stuffed animal. If you don't got a pillow and you're still listening to this podcast, sell your phone, my man. I'm just saying, like, you need a pillow. Come on, yeah. Or wrap up your hoodie and put it into the actual hood spot. That's what I used to do when I hop trains.
I know, I got my blanket here.
Well, confused as hell, Tom turned around to look at her. Who wouldn't be in that point, right? You're just like, what the
Yep.
fuck is going on? Speaking terror with her eyes, she lifted her arm up and pointed behind him.
Nope.
Standing just a couple feet from the end of the truck were two beings facing them. Bluish gray, like sparks of high voltage, and standing about 3 feet tall and 2 feet wide, they appeared to be phasing in and out of form, like they were still tuning into this dimension. The mesmerizing sight of these things was only paralleled by the overwhelming smell of sulfur now saturating the air. Tom nearly fainted at the sight, falling forward, barely catching himself on his hands. In that exact moment, the two beings rushed towards him, stopping the moment he caught himself. When he sat back, they stepped back. They were stationed there as guards.
Creepy.
Creepy. This reminds me of another episode. I can't put my...
That's it. That's what I was saying.
Which one was
It sounds like they're the same beings of the one with the lady that gets kidnapped.
The Andreessen affair?
The
Mm-hmm.
It sounds just like them. They were doing the same thing. That's what I was saying.
They
I miss
didn't-
Quasgaw.
They didn't threaten her, though. They just
No,
looked the
because
same.
she was. They didn't, because she was like all about doing what they wanted. Like she was very obedient. That's what they never threatened her, because they were like, she's doing whatever we tell her to do. But like the way you're describing, it sounds just like them.
There's a lot of crossover, like a lot of similarities between past episodes. So we have, and I've said this in the past, don't ever quiz me about our own shows. I have to dump 90% of my memory every week, like clearing space on a computer for shows. But it does remind me, there's elements of like the Andreessen affair, which if you're ever feeling too anxious during this episode, picture Betty Andreessen in this situation and what she would say. And that got me through having any nightmares, because I could just picture her here and she would be an absolute gem
her
to
voice.
comedy. hello. Like, she just wouldn't even be phased by any. Oh, it looks like we have some guests for dinner. So yeah,
Yeah,
she would be fine. Like, everybody needs a Betty Andreessen in their life to get them through these terrible times. But
I
there's moments
know.
of that, and then there's the Berkshire UFO incident. There's going to be scenes reminiscent of the Berkshire UFO incident, and I would even say, going back to episode 1 and 2, do you remember when Remy and Jose were seeing the creatures and they were having a hard time literally because they were like phasing in and out of perception in front of them? Like, there was even that scene where they went with the sheriff and with Jose Padilla's like father into the canyon after they were like, what, there's nothing down here, there's nothing down here, and they all saw the ship kind of like phase into existence, even though they were looking straight ahead the whole damn time. And like, so
Oh yeah.
there's kind of like elements of that are starting to stir into it. And again, these are all kind of like breadcrumbs to a larger, like, this story may not fit with our typical, like, I saw a light, woke up on a ship, woke up in my friend's yard with my head, in a pillow of dog poop. Oh my God, that was crazy. Not to make fun of experiencers, but it is like really random ass events that happen. And then it's like, hypnotic regression. I remember everything now. Like, this is really crazy. Most of this story is not coming from hypnotic regression. Most of the story they are conscious for, they are aware of, and they more or less record the events pretty damn close to when it happens. Then they have hypnotic regression and other parts get unlocked. But that's in episode 2. So there's breadcrumbs here. Sitting as far back in the camper as they could, Tom and Elise stared at the two beings, trying to make sense of what they were looking at. After a few minutes, Elise's focus finally broke long enough to look out the camper windows and realize that not only were all of the objects no longer hovering in the sky, but there were thousands of pairs of glowing red eyes moving all over the canyon and in the desert. The eyes slowly approaching the outside of the camper until the shape of the beings could be seen. They looked like gremlins, 3 foot tall, with heads no larger than a cat's, translucent torsos, and skinny limbs. Once more they were hyper, running around. They, quote, frolicked like child monsters amongst the sagebrush and the juniper that shrouded the desert wash where they camped, end quote. The situation led to sheer panic. Elise, now convinced they were going to die, started hyperventilating. Tom did the best he could to keep her calm before finally he broke and started shouting at the guards, quote, "What do you want? What the hell are you going to do to us? Like, we have rights. We have a right to know. We're human beings. We have a right to know." No response. Just cold stares. Tom started moving towards the guards, slowly crawling on his hands and knees in the camper closer to them. All the while, they matched his approach until, when they were both inches away from one another, quote, he reached out to touch the one nearest to him with his right hand, then recoiled.
I would have done the same.
Then recoiled as the burning sensation of an electrical shock ran up from his fingertips through his outstretched arm, end quote. After asking him if he was okay, Elise began begging him to promise never to do that again. The moment was short-lived, though. While they were talking, she noticed terror glaze over Tom's eyes as he was staring over her shoulder. A massive, disc-shaped craft was appearing, slowly descending from the haze of a cloud until it hovered barely 100 yards above the ground. And that's where we'll pick up next week with part 2 of the Mojave Incident. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope you don't hate me, but trust me on this one. There is a lot more to this story. We could probably make like a 5-part series out of it. Also, just want to point out, I'm pretty sure we're only at like page 45 of the actual 200-page book. Go grab a copy if you're anxious for it. I mean it when I say I ain't getting a goddamn dime from promoting this book or anything like that. I just honestly loved this book. You can ask Selena. I read it barely in a couple days. I was waking up early before work just to read this book. Like it's thick as fuck. So go grab a copy. Links will be in show notes, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to the Black Cat Report and the Mojave Incident. We can't wait for you to hear part 2 of this completely bonkers affair, and this is just the beginning. Remember to always like, review, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We really appreciate all of you and hope you have a wonderful holiday with whatever and wherever you celebrate. For us, we're excited for the new year to give you even more exciting content. And always remember, we'll see you on the other side.